Welcome back to another video from Spirituality Decoded. In today's videos, we're going to talk about changes. Realities is change and flow. So let's get to it. In a life that is full of changes, especially in the past few years, it can be hard to cope with these changes, both at the global and the personal levels. However, once we recognize and understand that change is the only constant in life, that our lives and the universe are constantly changing and evolving, simply because this is one of the universal laws of the universe, then it becomes easier for us to surrender, let go of control, and flow with the changes, instead of resisting and fighting against it. So, we all have a love-hate relationship with changes. When things are not going so great for us, we are willing to accept the fact that no matter what, things are not going to stay the same. In other words, this too shall pass. However, when life is going great for us, we want to hold on to this forever. We want everything to stay where it is. Unfortunately, this is not how universal laws work. Whether we proactively try to change the situation or not, change is going to happen. The law always works the same, like a clock. Otherwise, it won't be called universal law. So change is unavoidable. We are not only affected by the change, we are also affected by how we feel about the change, because changes come with the unknown, the uncertainty, and some level of risk as well. Now, since time immemorial, humans have always liked routines because they make us feel somewhat in control of our lives. This is the reason why even when we are stuck in a situation that we don't like, we are still too afraid to make the changes. So how do we work with this law in order to improve our relationship with change? So how do we embrace change? When changes were initiated from the desires that you consciously launch, then life is good, right? However, when you are faced with changes that you have no idea where they came from, then you're gonna start to wonder, why? Why me? Why is this happening to me? So to understand how these changes do not just come out of nowhere, even though it may seem like so, we need to understand the concept of the higher self. We won't have enough time in this video to dive deep into the higher self, so I'm just gonna try my best to explain it at a high level, just enough so we can get back to what we were talking about originally, which is how to improve relationship with Jane. So to put it simply, the higher self is the broader, non-physical aspect of you that is holding the vibrational version of your true desire. In other words, your true self. This non-physical part of you is always sending you signs, moment by moment, to show you the way toward your true desires. Now, if it weren't for the higher self, we would simply stop transforming for the better. And the act of transforming for the better by tuning into the higher self and all the experiences come along the way that we get by going through that process is what life is all about. Now, you may ask, from where did the higher self get the idea of the more and the better that is constantly calling us to move toward? Well, it's from us. Believe it or not, we launch these requests, wishes, and desires, whether consciously or unconsciously. Now, when it's a conscious design, it's straightforward. We don't need to talk about it, right? So we won't spend time discussing that. It's the unconscious design that we need to take a closer look at. So let's get to it. So what is the deal with those desires that we somehow unconsciously send to our higher self that are now causing us trouble? This may sound a little bit paradoxical, isn't it? If it's something that I truly desire, then why would I not want to face it and pursue it consciously? That doesn't make sense. Now, first of all, we need to acknowledge the fact that we are constantly making choices at every single moment in our life, whether we recognize it or not. Life is all about choices. We live in this physical and dualistic reality in which duality allows you to choose what you prefer. Unfortunately, due to our misperception of this dualistic reality and its purposes, we tend to judge duality. You know, the right versus wrong, good versus bad, etc., etc. Our judgment leads to our fear of being judged by others for the choice that we make, as well as the judgment against ourselves for the choice that we make. This fear of judgment prevents us from accepting our true desires, as well as embracing the changes that require for us to become what we truly desire. Now, in order for us to embrace changes in our life, we need to come to terms with these two realizations. First of all, duality is not bad. Dualities allow us to choose. Now, the truth is, how do you know what you like if you don't even know what you don't like, right? So duality is the platform that allows us to do that. And the second things that we need to realize is that life is all about choices. We are constantly making choices, whether big or small, at every single moment in our life for the purpose of our soul evolution. Now that we got that down, let's take a closer look at our fear of judgment. There are several reasons for this fear. Sometimes in life, we desire certain experiences that we think we don't deserve because we are so sure that we have to prove our worthiness. You know, that low self-worth aspect of it. Now, and sometimes we are just too ashamed of our desires because we either judge it as wrong because it's different from what we used to like, or what we used to judge as right. So subconsciously, we stuck this underneath. However, unbeknown to us, we did launch that design, and our higher self did receive it. And since our higher self had received it, it's going to start guiding us toward the truly desired version of ourselves using our emotional guidance system, eventually leading us to changes in our lives, right? So like it or not, it's these type of changes that is moving us closer to our true self. It's the part of our soul evolution We are the creators, wanting to create, but we are also the creation. It is the experiences of becoming the creation that is what life is all about. Our inner being or higher self, whichever term you like to use, is always calling us towards more. So in a sense, it's a never-ending process. We are never going to get it done, and if we're not open to changes, we'll inevitably fall behind. Now, don't let this discourage you. Let's think about this for a minute. Imagine if you were an artist or an engineer, and you were told that you have reached your ultimate goal of creation. That is, there's nothing else that you could create or innovate. Would you accept that as your reality? Imagine how boring and meaningless our life would be. Once you look at life from this perspective, your focus will shift from the things that you desire to the process of becoming those things, which is when everything will start to shift for you. It's no different from the process of creating, whether it's art, writing, or even programming, is what I do for a living. We do it not just because we want to get our hands on the final product. It's the process of creating the product when we get to experience creation flowing through us that is the most joyful. So instead of fighting it, we have to let go of our own beliefs and trust the process. Don't judge yourself for whatever you did in the past that you may have judged as being wrong. Forgive yourself, knowing that whatever was done or whatever choices that was made, that was to the best of what you knew at the time. It matched your vibrational frequency at the time, and more important than not, it served its purpose, which is to move you toward a higher state of being. And now you know better. Your higher self never judges you for what you've done. The most important thing for you to understand is that the whole purpose of soul evolution is not that because your higher self wants you to change in order for it to love you. It's always love you no matter where you are, vibrationally speaking. But it wants for you to change in order for you to see yourself the way it sees you and to feel the love that it feels for you. Isn't that beautiful? Our life is causing us to expand. We need to give up the struggle and allow ourselves to receive the expansions that our life experiences have caused us to ask for. So let's talk about this struggle a little bit. In our 3D reality, it's natural that we have the tendency to only trust in what we can see with our own eyes. So, on one side of the coin, we can't really see the future that our higher self has in store for us yet. Only our higher self can see it. It is always waiting for us there, patiently. We just need to tune our frequency to match that new reality. On the flip side of the coin, we are stuck with our existing reality where people are doing whatever they can to talk us out of making the changes, holding us to the old beliefs that no longer serve us, either for their own benefits or for what they think is our benefits, as if they know, right? So when you struggle, that is the definite sign that you are working against your higher self. When you catch yourself struggling, resist the temptation to overthink the situation, to analyze every single detail of the situation in hope that it would make some logical sense as to why things happened the way they did, why that person did this to me and that person did that. That's the ego talking. I can assure you that it would never make any logical sense. Your higher self does not operate based on logic. When you get caught in the ego trap, the only thing it does is drive you crazy, discouraging you from making the changes. That's what the ego wants. It wants to eliminate anything that goes against its logic, because that is all it knows, right? So trust the process and know who you really are. Do you know who you really are? Who you really are is how your higher self see you. Who you really are is someone who deliberately choose to come to this body, to have contrasting experiences in order to launch desires that would move you toward the path of your soul evolution. So be willing to move on from beliefs that serve you to beliefs that serve you better, instead of from wrong beliefs to right beliefs. Be open to moving from right beliefs to righter beliefs and to even righter beliefs. Trust that your inner beings who adore you so much, who ask for no validation from you, who doesn't even ask for struggle, it doesn't even ask for alignment. Instead, it simply goes where you said you wanted to go, and be where you said you wanted to be, so that you can tell whether you are where you want to be or not, based on your emotional calibration. So, trust that we each have our own inner being. Trust in the laws of the universe. Trust that you are expanding and things are getting better. Little by little, life experience will prove to you that the last thing that you want to do is to cling to the old you, the old reality. So this video is getting long. In the next video, I will share with you my personal story in hope that it would help you understand this concept on a more practical level. Until then, thank you for watching the video, and I hope you learned something useful from this. Thank you.